Welcome to another video. Today we're looking at things to consider when choosing a place to live in Bali. The cost for a room per month for a person or two would range between 200 to 500 US dollars. So if for 200 you would get a basic room with air conditioning and indoor bathroom, but I suggest to pay slightly more to get a better room. First you need to find a good location. If internet access is important for you, it's best to find a place not too far from a main road, because normally the fast fiber optic lines are usually running along most main roads, so you don't want to be too far from a main road, maybe around 100 or 150 meters from the main road, so you will be more likely to get a fast internet access. Normally they are included in the room, but just in case they don't have internet, you would have to get a separate, you would have to install your own internet access, which costs around 20 US dollars. And the best fiber optic network in here is probably from BizNet. So BizNet is a internet service provider which has the fastest and cheapest internet access compared to other internet providers in here. So once you found a place which is near to a fast internet connection, you need to check out the area where it's situated. For example, is it situated close to a hospital, for example, just in case you would need to go quickly to a hospital in case of an emergency. The location is very important, because here you won't be able to get through traffic when you are in an ambulance, for example, because traffic here, there's a lot of traffic, so best is to be located near a hospital in case you need it in an emergency. And also you want to be located near, not too far from the airport or a supermarket. And also, if possible, there should be a park nearby, or there should be sidewalks, and if possible also a bicycle track. And you should also look at the whole area, like is it a very dry area or does it rain a lot? Because in some areas in Bali there are big difference in climates. Some areas it rains more than others are very dry and it rarely rains. So you want something in between, not too dry but not too rainy as well. Although rainy is okay, because when it rains here, it rains a lot, but for a very short time. So maybe after 1 hour it already stops raining. So I would rather choose more on the rainy side instead of the dry side. And the way you see that is you look at the environment. You see if the plants and trees are very dry or very green. Normally when it's very dry, it means that's in an area where it rarely rains. And when it's very green, it means it rains a lot. But it also depends on the season, because here there are, unlike in Europe, there are only 2 seasons here. There's the rainy seasons, which starts in November and lasts until March or April, and from April or May until October, it's the dry season. It does rain sometimes in the dry season also, but generally it's drier than in the wet season. And for some reason in the wet season, the temperature it's higher than in the dry season, although it's raining more. So you need to consider the climate. And you also should look at the location, if it's near a university or a school or a touristic area or near places where they play loud music, or places where there's a mosque or a temple, because all of these places will have regular gatherings. So if it's a school, it will be quite noisy because of the kids. If it's a university, there will be a lot of activities going on, and sometimes they have concerts or some kind of exposition. And if it's a touristic area, there will be maybe live concerts or spectacles or theater. And if it's like a place where there are restaurants and clubs, it will be noisy, especially at night. So you must look first around the area to see what is located in that vicinity. And if there are mosques and temples, they usually have loudspeakers on the building, and these will sound a couple of times a day. So if it's a Hindu temple, they will have regularly praying hours during the day. It starts in the morning, maybe 5, and there's another one at noon, and there's another one in the afternoon. And these prayers can last from 15 minutes to longer, and many times they use the speaker to amplify the prayers, the songs and the music. So you need to consider that. So if you see a speaker on a temple or mosque, you might want to choose a different area if you prefer a quiet place. So that was the location, what things you need to pay attention to. And now we go into the neighborhood, where the things you need to look out for. For example, when you come into the location which you consider, does it has a 1-lane road or a 2-lane road? Meaning that can 2 cars pass on the same road, or only 1 car can pass at a time? Even if you are not in a car, even if you are on a motorbike, it's still always better to have a 2-lane road so that there's enough space for 2 cars. And then looking at the neighborhood, are there many dogs around? Because dogs here in Bali, there are many stray dogs. So dogs here are not necessarily belonging to a family or a house. You will find dogs just roaming the streets anywhere. So, and sometimes they can be quite noisy. So if you are looking for a quieter place, you need to watch out if there are many dogs, many street dogs around, or other animals such as chickens. Sometimes they also can be noisy, not only in the morning, but also sometimes chickens, they make noise in the evening also. So you need to watch out for animal noise also. And then if you find a place, they usually have walls around the house or the the place to rent, but the walls actually don't make any difference. I actually don't know why there are walls, because they have no function, because they don't block the noise, and they don't block the any kind of air pollution, for example, through burning of rubbish, for example. So the walls are probably some kind of psychological barrier, but it's not a barrier for which has any kind of function, in my opinion. So the best thing is you choose a neighborhood which doesn't have too many animals, not too many animals walking on the street, not too many dogs, and not close to any public gathering space, such as a concert hall or open area, which sometimes is used for live concerts. Or you also might want to avoid schools, which can be noisy also, or temples, which sometimes have special gatherings during special holidays, when in addition to the volume, also the roads might be congested during ceremonies. So you might want to choose a different area. Also, you might need to see if there are any laundry services near that area, so that you can drop off your laundry if you don't do it yourself. And also check out your neighbors. Do they have kids? Are there any babies around? Because babies tend to scream quite a lot at any time of the day, so you might want to look your neighborhood, who is living in that area. You might want to get to know your neighbors also, to find out if they are also renting, or do they own the place. Generally speaking, people who own the place, they usually take better care of their environment because they live there and they own the place. But sometimes people who own the building or the house don't live there, and they hire people to take care of their place. But usually, if they don't stay there themselves, the environment is often not really taken care of as well as if the owners stayed there themselves. So you need to consider that. And then now to the house itself, or the building, or the room that you want to rent. First, you need to see how the rubbish disposal works. Do they burn it on front of the house, or are they paying someone to pick up the rubbish and take it away? The best is if it's in an area where everybody pays rubbish service to take the rubbish away, as opposed to houses or buildings where they burn the rubbish right on front of the house. This you can check out yourself. You can check out, are there any compartments on front of the house or building where they put rubbish in. Usually, if that's the case, they will burn the rubbish on front of the building. And you don't want this, because this is not healthy. makes the air not clean at all, and is generally you should avoid it. So you find this on front of the house or building, I would avoid this and look somewhere else where. And it's important that it's not only your place that pays the rubbish service to take it away, but also the neighbors in your area do the same. Otherwise, if it's only you who have the rubbish service, but your neighbors burn the rubbish, then it won't have much use. So better choose an area where all the inhabitants pay for rubbish service to be taken away either daily or every second day. And then from the house itself, does it has any garden or pond or swimming pool? And if it does, it might look very nice, but this kind of place attracts lots of animals, specifically mosquitoes. Anywhere where it's humid and there are many plants and trees, there will be more mosquitoes than if the plants and trees weren't there, especially if there's water like a pond or a swimming pool. Then also you might want to check the roof, out of what kind of material is it made. Is it out of wood? Is it out of plastic or tin or even asbestos? Because here asbestos is not yet abolished, so this must be avoided, of course. But so the best roof you can find are the traditional tile roofs, because they last longest and they stay cool from the sun better than, for instance, tin roofs. Tin roofs will be very, very hot, or aluminium. It will be, well, maybe aluminium a bit less than tin. But then you also should try out the water. Let the tap run for a few minutes to see if the water is clean and if the water pressure is strong enough, and also if the water has any kinds of odor, because sometimes water has a funny kind of odor, so you can test it by letting it run for a few moments. Then you also might want to check the roof and the walls if you find any residue of humidity. For instance, when it rains, that there are any kinds of leaks. Usually you can see it by the traces on the wall, and if it's much more leaks, then you will see some kind of black spots or dark spots on the wall, and that you should avoid. Either it needs to be fixed beforehand, or you have to fix it yourself. So generally speaking, I would avoid any place where they have some kind of mold on the walls or on the roof, because these are not healthy at all. So make sure that the roof is not leaking. And you also must consider the electricity is not always 100% available. So some areas the electricity would be cut off for some time, but generally speaking, electricity the current is not very stable. That's why you probably will need to get a electric stabilizer, which doesn't cost too much. It costs maybe, for a small one, to charge your laptop, for your laptop and important electrical devices, you probably pay maybe $60 for a small stabilizer, which is recommended if you want to have a stable electric power outlet. And it's also good for the air conditioner if you have a electric stabilizer. But for air conditioner you need a much bigger stabilizer, which costs also more, which costs over $150 if it's strong enough for air conditioning. So you might want to test out the air conditioning if it's cool enough or not, because many times there's air conditioning but it doesn't cool properly. So you need to make sure that the air conditioning is working. And also you need to look at the natural light of the room. Best is if you have a corner window, so you have light which comes in from two sides, not only one side, because if you have light only from one side, your room might be dark and you would need the extra light to, even during the day, just to work on your computer, for example. So better have a light source from two different sides of the room. And also, if you have air conditioning in a room, it's better that the ceiling is not too high, because if the ceiling is high, it means the air conditioner has to work much stronger to cool the whole volume of the air inside the room. So if the ceiling is lower, then the air conditioning has to work less and thus save electricity, and the room will get cooler faster than the room. And you must consider that if you have many natural material in your rooms or in your roof, that will attract lizards and other kinds of animals like spiders, mice, ants, and the big lizards, which can be several tens of centimeters large or long. They usually like to stay on wooden roofs. So if you don't have a wooden roof, you will have less animals living in it. And also you need to check the electric outlets. Sometimes you will have ants living inside the electric outlets, which can cause a short circuit, and then your electricity will go off. So check the electrical outlets if they are clean and they don't have any ant tunnels coming out of it or going into it, because I think they can like eat into the electric wiring, and it can be fairly expensive to replace these because they are inside the walls, and here it would mean to break the walls to replace the electric cable. And also to check if the room has high humidity, you often can find, I call it white dust residue on the floor or inside the cupboards. It's like, I think it's some kind of mold. That means that first there's high humidity, and second there's not much air current. So you might want to avoid a place where there's not much air current or high humidity. So the best is you also see when you are outside of the place that there's regular airflow going through. For example, you don't want to stay in a place where there's no natural air current. For example, if the house is in a corner and behind it is a wall, a natural wall or a hill, or it's in an area where there are many, where it's closed up by a wall, and then there's not much place where the air can flow. In the complete opposite, you also don't want to necessarily be on a hilltop with complete open space, with no cover at all and just sunshine, because that will be, first, it will be very hot. Second, the sun is very, very bright. Even if you are inside, and you obviously are going to go out, and it will be really, really bright. So you might want to avoid that. And also not too close to the beach, because the waves, they make quite a lot of noise, which is okay for a few moments, but if you live there day and night, you probably would prefer without the wave noise. So, and then you also need to check if there's a parking space for your vehicle or for your motorbike. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching and stay safe.